What is going on, guys? Today we just received some pretty big news from Sony, Insomniac, and Marvel Games. A piece of information that has me grinning because I feel like a lot of people are eating crow today. Because to me, the most important thing about this piece of news is that it solidifies that single player games are here to stay. A single player is still king for a lot of people. So despite, the little whispers that you guys hear that, oh, single player games are one and done, and multiplayer games are king, that games like Fortnite and games as a service are really the only way that the games industry can really go to make money. That those type of games are the only games that people want. I feel like that is all BS, because today we just found out that Spider-Man PS4 is now not only the fastest selling first party PlayStation title, but it also sold 3.3 million in its first 3 days, which previously beat out the previous record holder, God of War, which I think had either exactly 3 million or 3.1 million in its first 3 days, which is absolutely insane when you think about it, that PlayStation has had 2 titles this year alone become its fastest selling game in platform history, which, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But now the question arises, will there be a title in the future that could possibly dethrone Spider-Man now? Like, could there be a game that does 3.4 million in its first 3 days? I think a lot of people will point to The Last of Us Part 2, but I don't know, man. Like, and I'm incredibly excited for that game. That game, now that God of War has came and went, Last of Us Part 2 is my most anticipated game, like, of any platform. But I feel like Spider-Man is just like, I mean, let's be honest, it's way more recognizable than The Last of Us Part 2. So, I don't know. It's going to be a pretty tough hill to climb for that game. I don't think it's going to do more than 3.3 in its first 3 days, but we'll see. But I think besides that, that's really the only one that could possibly have a chance at doing it. But yeah, like I said, so yeah, on top of the game selling 3.3 million in its first 3 days, it also, which I just found out, it generated more profit than Homecoming, which I think the game, Spider-Man PS4, generated $198 million in revenue, and Homecoming, I think, was like around 120 million, which like, that's insane. Again, like, I think just the word of the day is insane, man. Like, this is crazy. But I think more than anything, the most important thing to me is, I hope this shows publishers and other game developers that we respond to games like these. Like, we don't need a tacked on multiplayer mode in there or some kind of online feature in there. We don't need microtransactions. We don't need it to be games as service type of thing. If you guys just be honest with us, give us a good product that doesn't feel like it's missing content. Like, you guys give us a complete game where we don't feel like we are being urged to take out our wallet and have to buy something. A game that doesn't have, pay to win bullshit in it. A game that has fun, addictive gameplay, a game that has a great, enthralling story in it, and the market will react positively to that. And I think Spider-Man is an example of it. God of War is an example of it. Horizon, Uncharted, some of the other great single-player games that are coming out recently, like Persona 5, Dragon Quest 11, Nier Automata. These games, like, are solely focused on their single-player games. Or I guess I should say, they're just solely focused on making a great game first and foremost, right? They're focused on making their single player experiences the best that they could possibly be. And I think with each of the games I just talked about, it goes to show. And I think when people, see that, when they see that they're not being deceived or nickel and dimed, then you'll find a crowd. You'll find people flock to your game. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Also, the fact that it's Spider-Man helps, but I don't even think that was really like a what's the word? Like a foregone conclusion, or I don't think that was really a given that just because it's Spider-Man it would sell well. I mean, obviously that's a huge part of it, but if you look at the last couple Spider-Man games, like the Amazing Spider-Man games, or I don't know, like Web of Shadows or Shattered Dimensions, like those games, like those games have the name Spider-Man slapped onto it too. And of course, I don't have the official, sales numbers to them, but you would have to think they weren't able to do, sales figures like this within 3 days, or probably in their entire lifetime. I doubt they were able to have sales numbers like these. And those games came out on multiple platforms, right? So I don't think just because, the name Spider-Man is on the box, that automatically means that the game is going to sell gangbusters. It certainly helps, but I don't think that's, promised. I think definitely it has to be a good game first and foremost, in order to, generate people, looking at it, because there definitely was a lot of people just saying, oh, it's probably just going to be another Spider-Man game. But then, when previews started coming out and then the reviews started hitting, and people actually seeing it's actually a really good game. It's actually a really good Spider-Man game, let alone just a good game in general. Then I feel like that's when, more and more people started flocking to it. And also just seeing, like, some of the E3 trailers and just seeing how good it looked in motion. I feel like that definitely certainly helped for sure. But I guess my point is that just because it says Spider-Man on the box, it doesn't automatically mean that it's going to sell, incredibly well. Look at the Amazing Spider-Man games. Those games were awful. I mean, just based off, I didn't play them, but off of Metacritic, they don't look too hot, right? So I guess the moral of the story is, you guys, if these gaming companies and publishers and developers and whatever give us a good, honest, single player experience like The Witcher 3. I can't believe I forgot about that one. But like The Witcher, like Uncharted, Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man, Persona 5, you pick one. If you guys give us a great single player experience like that, and it's focused on making that as great as it can possibly be, you put all of your time and effort into that single player, then like that's what people are clamoring for. Like, there's such a huge audience out there clamoring for that type of gaming experience. Not everything has to be a games as a service, boring open world game, or a multiplayer driven experience, or a game that's riddled with microtransactions. Like, not everything has to be like that. And I feel like the gaming industry is just, a lot of it lately has been synonymous with those sorts of games. So I don't know, it's really reassuring to see games like Spider-Man and God of War and The Witcher do well. It's really encouraging to see these games get the spotlight that they deserve, to get the kind of sales that they deserve, because to me it only solidifies that single player is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, that people want these types of games, and that's great, man. I hope EA is like eating crow right now. I really, really hope they do, because look at them, man. Look what they're doing to BioWare. I mean, literally making them kind of do making them do a games as service, when that isn't necessarily the way that it has to be, right? I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of the video, guys. Really happy about this. Like, comment, subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.